Hello there, I'm going to do a very quick setup on how to play of Cleopatra and the Society of Architects from Mojito Games. I've set the board up quickly, but I'll show you how to set these up just to save time and space. Normally you have more than these, but as I'm not actually playing through, you'd it's pointless me actually doing. What you'd actually do is sort out piles for each of these so that when it comes to actually gaining the points as such, you can just grab one from each of them, but you'd normally keep them face down so that at the same time your opponent, unless they're very good at keeping track in their head, they wouldn't necessarily know how much you've got. And when you get to a certain point on the tracker as well, you do a offering to the priest, so you keep that secret as well. So yeah, that's it. We'll just set up briefly. So just for the purposes of the video as well, I have got the orange pyramid set up and two orange based Anubis guards, purely for demonstration purposes. I will be double checking the rule book as well, because this is one of the first times I have actually set the game up. So we'll start with this because these are the easy ones. These are the Sobek cards. I can't remember what they're actually called. Yeah, the worshippers of Sobek. And the idea is you just give these a bit of a shuffle and you place them down. Each one tells you what they do. In the rulebook it does actually tell you rather than just looking at the pictures. And the cost to use them is underneath. So for this one here, it costs one amulet. So I'll do it now just to show you. Say I was going to use that, which is minus 2 artisans, I believe. I would pay my one thing, my one amulet into my pyramid. I'll use it, and then to use it I'll then shuffle all of these across and they'll go at the end. The two that's one of the options you can do while playing the game as well, but I will take that out. So these cards need a really good shuffle. You can see there's two types of cards. There's the red ones, which are tainted cards, but they're worth 2 of the resources that you require, whereas the green are worth 1, but to use the red ones it'll also cost you amulet of Sobek. So the idea is just give these really good shuffle. You then deal 3 cards to each player. I will just deal to another person, just even though there's no one else here. I'm going to just deal. Then the idea is you then split these stacks up into roughly 3 piles. Trying to keep them roughly even, like that. Then 2 of them you turn upright. You then put these in. So you've got a mixture of up cards and down cards, or up facing cards, just to say, and down facing cards. And then it's not a very good shuffle, but the idea is you then do it like that. I might give that another good. Quick shuffle, just to demonstrate. So you can't actually see any of them cards, but you would be able to look at your cards here, whereas I've got them, and your opponent would look at their cards, which are all green. I say I've only given them a very quick rough shuffle at the moment, and they're the resources that you'll be gathering. So in part of the setup, it does actually say about putting these boards up and getting all the sphinxes out ready and all that. A, I don't have the room, and B, because I'm not actually playing, it's a bit of a pointless exercise. And so during your turn, you have a choice of visiting the market or visiting the quarry. I believe it's called, visits the quarry. And at the beginning of your turn, you can visit one of the worshippers of Sobek to do one of these. So it's a way of cutting corners, which has benefits and downsides. So at the end of the game, you want as least amulets in there as possible, because you remove scarabs and points based on how many you've got in there. So but they can help a lot. So visiting the market is you get to choose one of these piles, and they'll either be face up or face down cards. So the idea is, say I will choose that one, I'll have a look at it, which is one of them, doesn't really matter so much, but once you've done it, so once you've visited the market still, you would then deal the cards, you then replenish. So one of them will gain one, the other ones will gain an additional one, and then it's all based on, you see these will all add up. You can only ever have 10 cards in your hand at any one time, and then you get to choose whether to discard cards, or you can keep them, but you get a corruption amulet for each one. And when your turn's over, then it goes to the person to your left. I'll just say it's me, so I'm going to choose this one. So they now have 5 cards in their hand, and you then replenish the market stalls. Notice, because this pile's not been picked at all, you've got 3 cards, and the way you position the cards is so that you can actually see all the way down. Obviously I'm running out of room, I've just got a small area to do this. You do need quite a bit of space for this, so I've just kicked the bag underneath the table. And then the next action is that you can always do is visit the quarry. So using these little cards to help as a guide tells you what you need to build something, and if you build if you can result in an entire category piece, the sphinxes, the obelisks, the throne and pedestal, door frames, column walls, or the mosaics being completed, you then move Cleopatra one space forward, which is just off screen, it's here. And when you get between the third and the fourth step on the board, you end up doing a donation to the priest. So I don't think I've got enough resources to actually build anything here. So actually I do. So a artisan and 2 of the same cards, which is that, which go into a discard pile. Normally goes next to it, but I'm putting my cards there. Is enough to purchase a sphinx. So we put a sphinx on there. That's it. Goes on the board. And for that you end up getting 3 points plus 1 for each other sphinx on the, just double check that, I'm pretty sure it's +1. 3 scarabs plus 1 for each sphinx already built on the same row. So I only get 3 for that one because it's the first one built. But they would go face down. So my opponent would know that I've got 3 at the moment, but later on in the game there'll be more there and it's hard to see. So you can build the sphinxes, the door frames. The mosaics are quite interesting because they're different shapes, and you just pull the top one off the pile, and you can build sanctuaries. So for instance, say I built that and put that down there. There is a 1 space sanctuary. So shift it all across. Well, the way that these work is I could then, because that's a completely closed off area, I could put my Anubis statue on there, which would give me a way to get rid of some of my corruption tokens later on. They've got to be complete sanctuary areas to actually do it. So, and there's also bonus for further up, any mosaic pieces that are in contact with the pedestal for the throne, you do actually get bonuses for as well. And that is a very basic rundown for you. And a lot of the points are awarded for if you've got more than 1 row. So like the pedestal is, you get 10 scarabs plus 1 scarab for each mosaic square adjacent to the throne. Or I've already said the sphinx, but door frames are 5 scarabs plus 1 scarab for each column wall linked to the door frame corner. So it can add up. It does look like at times it can be a little bit of workout, but it doesn't look anything too complicated. And when it comes to the end, which is what I was actually looking for, so when you get between the third and the fourth space, you do an offering to the great priest. If you get your first, so basically you offer up some of your scarabs. So scarabs are what you use to win the points. So you're giving some of them up, but in return you can get rid of some of the corruption tokens. If you give the highest amount, you get rid of 3 corruption tokens. If you're second, you actually gain a corruption token. So and that's all done in secret until everyone's ready. So at the end of the game, you discard any card still in hand, collect 1 amulet of corruption for each tainted card. So you can't just hold them in your hand till the end of the game, because you will still get the amulets. You open up your pyramid of corruption to reveal the amulets you've accumulated during the game. You place 1 amulet of corruption on each space of the palace garden composing any sanctuary you claimed where you have placed an Anubis statue. So this one here is 1. You only have 2 Anubis statues, so you've got to be very careful with how you place it. But with these, there's nothing stopping you doing something like that, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 squares, in which case you could get rid of 12. However, the downside is if you put 1 down flat like that and you get another one in, the other person can take it. Once that area is sealed off, in a sense, the person who puts it down gets to choose whether they want to claim it, and if they don't claim it, it can't be claimed later on. So it's one of these choices you get. You count how many amulets of corruption you still have in your possession. The player who has the least discards them all, and each opponent discards this same amount. So say you're playing a 4-player game and the last person has 1 left, that means all the other players will discard an extra 1. And then you pay a penalty according to the number of amulets of corruption you have left, as reported to the cell on the right. So, and it's the richest one wins based on based on the scarab. So if you've got 1 amulet, you discard 1 scarab. If you've got 2 amulets, you discard 3 scarabs. If you've got 3 amulets, discard 6 scarabs. It adds up very quickly. So if you've got 8 amulets still, it's complete an elimination. So and that's it. It's a very quick rundown, and I hope you enjoyed, and hopefully I'll get a game playing soon once all lockdown's over, and I can do a walkthrough and talk about it at the same time. So cheers for watching, and I'll see you soon.